Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette with another Tim Gillette show. And we're trying to do 100 interviews in 30 days. Now, this is great because I get to meet people and get to know them on camera. But in some cases, I'm bringing back some great people that I know, all right, people who have been there to help me, as well as influence me. And in some cases are some of my best friends, all right? And I'm bringing them on. Why? It's my podcast and I can. And right now, a lot of us are at home or things are actually limited. So why not record getting to know people and find out what they're up to? Today, I'm fortunate. I'm going to bring on a friend that I've known for about 6 or 7 years. His name is Gary Leland, and he lives here in the Dallas area. Gary has spoken at my blog and VideoCon, and I've spoken at some of his stuff. And we've actually gotten a relationship to where this is one of the people who when it comes to podcasting, I trust. All right. But he's got some unique stuff going on, and I can't wait for him to tell you on camera. So let me bring him on here. Gary Leland, how are you, man?
Good, Tim. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show. I always enjoy talking with you. It seems like whenever we talk a long time.
We do. We seem to have even our conversations at live events can seem to go on because it's like we're missing out on like everything we're doing.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So Gary, I mean, first of all, right now, you and the family doing okay in this mess, or?
We're doing good. My daughter works at a hospital over in Dallas, so she's busy and working hard. My other daughter's in San Antonio, and her husband's in the Air Force working on the base that they bring the people to, who come in the country. So both of them are around it a lot, so neither one of them will come see us.
Yeah. So, prayers for your kids. I'm telling you, man, in this. And yeah, I'm glad. I mean, so the businesses right now, I know you got a wallpaper store and you guys have got you do something in baseball. I mean, the store's up and running, or what's going on with that?
Well, the baseball store shut down and doing a little bit online. It's, in all reality, I'm not a negative Nancy, as you know, I'm a positive Paul.
Yes.
But the baseball store is going to have a hard time making it through this. During March, April, May, we probably do maybe a little more than half of our business for the year, maybe 3/4 of our business for the year. And we have, maybe $100,000 worth of inventory we've gotten in just for this season. And there is no season.
Wow.
So that's going to be hard. And it's not just me, all the people businesses that deal with sports. Now, Wallpaper, on the other hand, is handling it pretty well. I think people are stuck at home and they're wanting to decorate their houses because they got nothing to do. So the internet's doing real well for the wallpaper. People are coming up to the store. It's closed, but they're going, hey, I got a book here last week. I want to return it and place an order. So we'll let them in, if they call and we talk to them. We're not letting people just walk in the door, but if it's someone coming in to purchase, we've got things in place to handle it safely, I guess you could say. So wallpaper store's doing fine. It's going to do fine through all the softball store, the sporting goods store is going to have a hard time, which I think, gosh, isn't everything with sports? How about Major League Baseball? I guess football is lucky the Super Bowl got through before that happened. Yeah. I mean, so I think all sports and all venues that have a lot of people, everybody's in trouble just about it.
I know. I actually took Gary off of my calendar on Saturday because we have season tickets to the Mavericks and no games.
Yeah, we had tickets for the opening baseball.
Yeah.
For the Rangers.
No opening day. So oh my gosh, it's just tough. So Gary, now I've known you for a lot of years. It seems like we go back to another lifestyle or another lifetime, doesn't it? Sometimes.
Well, things have changed a lot since you and I got into whatever we want to call this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I knew you, podcasting is where I first met you. And then I found out you had all this other stuff going on. And till this day, you're still a huge influence to me in podcasting. And that's why I have this show.
Right. Well, podcasting, I always say, people tell me I was one of the first 50. I say one of the first 100 podcasters on the planet, and I'm really involved in podcasting. And I went to that right away. I saw it as a great marketing means. And I'm real straight with people. I podcast to sell stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any great hidden deep down messages to share with everybody to make them better people. You know, I podcast to sell stuff, and that's my marketing mechanism, and it's worked real well for me. And hopefully people have learned something from my podcast if they're interested in that subject.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's one of the reasons why I brought you to, remember when I did my first blog and video con, I'm like, I want you to talk about podcasting. And then like the conversation in our VIP room went around what you're doing now with podcasting, and that is Bitcoin. So
yeah, that's all anyone wanted to know about in the VIP room was Bitcoin. That was no one was interested in podcasting once they heard about Bitcoin.
Yeah. So you and your wife were doing, though, a series of podcasting, though, for a while with the couple down in Waco. Now, have you guys chosen another show to change the podcast around?
We were doing the Fixer Upper podcast, and they stopped doing their show. They ended and didn't renew their contract. So luckily, we had already, before that show ended, started doing another podcast for a show I thought had a lot of potential called the Hometown Podcast. It's about a couple out of Laurel, Mississippi, small town, Mississippi, 20,000 people. And they were on a mission to save their town. Yeah. And it's become quite the popular show. It had, I think, 4 million viewers last week. So it's really taken off. And this is season 4. And we've been podcasting the show since season 4. Now we do a video with the show. And next year, I think there's only like 3 shows maybe left for the season. So I think next year we're actually going to, we have a lot of the people who are on the show come on the Facebook group and chat during the live podcast, the live episode. So next year, I think we're going to bring it in and start bringing guests on the show. But it's been a real boom for the wallpaper store. I mean, actually, someone posts on there, where do I get wallpapers? 35,000 people now. And they go, go to Leland's Wallpaper. So it's really been a good advertising means.
Which it is. I mean, it's I do a podcast because I'm trying to fill my event. You know what I mean? That's exactly what you teach people to do. And, you know, videos, podcasts, blogs, I've been saying it for years. Do it to build your business. And you just reinforce that to me.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to build. And in the case of this show, we actually like the show, and the couple seems to be a nice couple. So that makes it a plus.
Yeah.
You know,
Glenn loves that show too. My wife loves that show too. So she watches that one. So
we picked it up. I just watched the previews for it before it even came out. And I said, I think this is going to be a winner. Let's go with this show. When we started watching it, as soon as it came out, we'd already made our plans to watch it before an episode even came out. So it worked out real well. You know, the thing is, we went down to Laurel, Mississippi at the end of the first season for the first episode's ending. And, you know, it is a smaller town. It's not like Childress, Texas, 5,000, people. It's 20,000 people. But they had the old downtown theater where they showed the last episode. And here's a good thing. Here's something that'll really show you, I think, an example of the power of doing what you and I do. We're in Laurel, Mississippi. We've never been to Laurel, Mississippi in our lives. And we're driving down the street and we see this place to eat. And I park the car and my wife says, I'll run inside and see what the menu looks like and make sure they're open. So I'm sitting there just messing around on my phone. All of a sudden I hear my wife walking down the street talking to somebody. And she's talking to somebody and talking to somebody. I said, who? That's just like my wife, though, to meet somebody and already have a friend in 2 minutes. You know, she's that personality. And then it turns out that it's one of the guys that's on the show all the time. And Kathy didn't even recognize him. He came up to Kathy, my wife, and said, hey, you're like the podcast guys, right? Gary and Kathy. And she goes, yeah. And then they invite us to the opening that night. And we get invited to a party that afternoon at the Laurel Mercantile, the store, the couple that does the show, their store. And we go to a meet and greet, and all the past homeowners are there that had houses redone, and Aaron and Ben. And just from walking down the street, never being this town, someone recognized us and came up and started inviting us to this stuff. So the marketing had paid off in that case. That shows you what marketing does, what this means. You know, that small town, they knew us, and several people knew us at the party that night. Yeah. So it was kind of weird. You know?
It's like you walked in and you were the famous person.
Yeah. Until Ben and Aaron got there.
So you've done some twists with it then, but I know you've also done with your baseball. You've done podcasts, correct?
Yeah, I started out with the baseball, softball business doing podcasts. We had the first podcast for sports, basically. You know, back in that's how I started in 2004. That's what I started with was sports pods, sportpodcast.com. I can't remember what name I used back there. I've had so many podcasts now, but that's how I actually started, was for marketing the sporting goods store. You know, so then it's, we still do some of that, but I'm kind of burnt out on the sporting good business, now that I found Bitcoin.
But I recall a time when I watched your, you doing broadcasts or doing snippets of video and posts from the Little League World Series. Is that correct?
No, it's College World Series.
College World Series.
Yeah, I was actually, I had full press passes, field passes, interview passes to do video in the interview rooms. I had the full run of the place, top press passes you could get for the College World Series. And I went every year, and I really enjoyed it. I got to know all the ESPN people and all the press people. And I mean, I know every player that's in the Olympics from that event. I mean, they're all, I have their phone numbers in my phone, and I know them all in the first, because there's only been like 31 people that played in the Olympics for softball. So I know all of them like firsthand from doing that and from getting to that level. But, it was easy to get to that level, though, Tim, because that level I got to was in softball, not baseball. Let's make it clear. I could have never got to that level in baseball, competing against ESPN and all those companies. But in softball, fast pitch softball, college softball, I could move to the top quickly, because it was a niche that was not being hit and served by the sports companies like baseball was.
So let me put this in a twist right now. So you start a podcast just to help build your business in selling softball equipment. It gets you a press pass, which gets you more notoriety, more well-known, which builds your business, right?
I got to the point, this was kind of funny. I had a girl from Washington or Oregon, I can't remember, email me one time for the College World Series, and she said, I have to do an internship, and I want to do it with you. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? She goes, well, you're going to do the College World Series again, aren't you? She goes, yeah. She goes, well, I just want to come. I don't want to be paid. I don't want anything. I just want to work for you during the College World Series. And I was like, well, okay. I think I ended up paying her flight, and she stayed with her aunt. And then I sent her a small stipend, but it wasn't a whole bunch. But she came, and this part of the story is kind of funny, I think, because we were bringing stuff in from the car, microphones and our cameras and all our gear. I had a couple suitcases of gear I used back then. And then I said, I forgot a mic. I could go back out to the car. Just wait right here. And I got back to her like an hour later, and she's like, gosh, I thought maybe you'd left me or something. And I was like, no. When I walked out to the car, some parent recognized me from my videos that I do and wanted to take a picture of their kid with me. And then all of a sudden, it turned out to be a line, like the entire team from Hawaii was in line. The entire team from Mississippi was in line. So I was out there like an hour just taking pictures with kids and their parents and stuff. It was kind of funny to me, because I was a much heavier guy then. So as I used to say, you're just getting your picture taken with an old fat guy. You know what I mean? But yes, it was funny how that turned out, that once I got recognized, and I don't even know, maybe some of them didn't know. They just knew they needed to get a picture with whoever that was everybody was getting a picture with. I have no idea, but it was kind of funny.
It's interesting that the path that you've had. All right. And you get yourself in a form of fame. All right. With the podcast.
Yeah. In that very small niche. And you got to realize it's a small niche,
but that's where I want to go with this, is that small niche that you're in. Do you encourage others, if they come to you for podcast advice, is niche it down to a small niche?
Yeah, that I do. I always say a niche is where you can control a niche. I mean, you could be the big player. It's like being a big fish in a small pond type philosophy, You could be a big fish in a small pond. You can be a star in a niche. You're going to have a hard time. Like I said earlier, I'd have a hard time competing in baseball against ESPN, what they do with their broadcasts. But with an underserved podcast niche or a niche, sporting niche, or any kind of niche, you can get in there. So it's much better. And I don't care if there's 3 or 4 people in there already in that niche. You go, gosh, this is a super small niche, like pig calling. There's a pig calling podcast. And I bet you this guy is the best pig caller in the world. I don't know. Maybe he's the worst. Yeah. But he's in that niche, so he gets a lot of attention, from pig caller. People want to know about pig calling. That might be 25 subscribers for all I know, but I bet he's got the majority of them because it's a small niche.
So if we can go back to, say, 2003, 2004, before you were actually involved in the podcasting world and finding these different niches, what was your life like back then before you did this?
Well, I was really still on the net a lot. I made my first, built my first e-commerce site in '96,
Mm-hmm.
to sell wallpaper online. And, I remember I had contacted, was contacting my wallpaper suppliers, asking them if they had photos of product I could use to put on the website
Mm-hmm.
so I could sell their product. I mean,
Yeah.
you think they'd be into this.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What do you want the pictures for?" And I said, "Well, I got this website I'm building." They go, "Nah, we're not going to waste our time sending you to it. That's the stupidest idea I ever heard. No one's going to buy this stuff on the internet."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I think they would buy it on the internet." "Well, we're not going to waste our time sending you those pictures." So we would take a scanner, because scanners were out, but digital cameras hadn't been invented yet, but scanners had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would cut out the pages out of wallpaper books and scan them on the scanner. We had high school kids that would come up after work. I think one kid would just be cutting pages out of books, scanning pictures and different tasks for him. And we started building the website. So I'd been on the net for a while doing other things. So when I saw podcasting, I think I received a newsletter I subscribed to about marketing your website. And it had maybe a 1 sentence or 2 sentence thing on it. There's a new thing coming out called podcasting. It may turn out to be something. I'm not sure what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, let's research this. And that's what started us down the rabbit hole. And that was December of 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and it's like the first big event that I did with you was your podcast movement here in Dallas, your first one.
That was the first one, in Dallas. Yeah.
It was, because I remember it was at the Galleria, which is like miles from my house here.
Yeah, that was our first event. Matter of fact, we didn't know how that would go. We did a Kickstarter even to raise the money for that, and we didn't know if we would be able to get. We wanted, I think we decided to go for $10,000 on our Kickstarter,
mm-hmm.
and we were pre-selling tickets and sponsorships. It wasn't just give us money. I mean, you could, but no one was really just giving us money. They were buying their tickets and sponsorship packages, and we wanted $10,000, and I think we ended up getting, in the 30-day period, $30,000.
Wow!
So we knew there was a need for what we did. I mean, we're trying to do.
So wait a minute. So that's an innovative way on the internet. Another innovation that you did was, because I mean, I do events, but I never thought about putting an event through a series like a fundraiser or a Kickstarter.
Yeah. We had, like I said, you could donate $5 or $10 or something, but then we had the different level tickets you could buy, and you just were buying them at a discounted price by being a Kickstarter. And everybody who bought on the Kickstarter, I think they got a T-shirt that said Kickstarter member on the back, podcast movement. And then all the sponsorship packages were on there. Like I said, I think we sold out of sponsorship packages on the Kickstarter. And we did $30,000, and I think we sold 600 tickets that year.
There was a lot of people that I remember, because I bought I bought it because it was either you or Dan had some link on Facebook that I clicked on and bought. Like, I bought a vendor table at the event. I remember having a vendor table at the event, and I really at the time didn't relate to it. I mean, my programs didn't relate to it, but I did it anyway, right?
Dan probably put that on there. Dan, let me say, is like one of the best people in the world.
Yeah.
I think Dan is probably the most upfront. I can't say that enough. My relationship working with Dan has been the best relationship I've ever had working with anyone. So
I know. Like Dan now is, I've seen him taking it like to Los Angeles and stuff. And literally, we were on a plane one day heading to Los Angeles together. He was going there to do a podcast movement event. I was going there to speak at a conference, and I was like, "Hey, Dan, what's up?"
Yeah, I like Dan. Like I said, Dan treated me right. Now, I sold my share of podcast movement last year.
Did you?
Yeah. So, and I finally got paid the last of it. I got paid the last of it in February. So it's pretty good time there with what's happening in the market. So that was a very successful project. I think we did that. I was involved for that for 6 years. 4 of us founded that. And that was a very, very good project to be involved with. But I have to say again, Dan took that, and Jared too. So I only add Jared there. I'm not trying to diss Jared by any means, but they took it way further than I thought we were going to be able to go. Because I had originally started that as Podcast Dallas. And I had 100 people maybe the first year. And Dan came to it. And then I saw Jared in Vegas at Blog World. It used to be called Blog World.
Yeah, I remember going to Blog World. Yep.
And I met Jared there, and he said, "Hey, I understand you did a conference in Dallas." I said, "Yeah, it was just a podcast thing. I had about 100 people." And he said, "Well, would you ever consider taking that to the next level because I think that the world would need something like that. And I said, I just don't have time to do that by myself. I said, maybe next year I'll take it to 200 people. Maybe I'll slowly do it, but I just am a one-man show. I don't have time. He goes, well, how about if you had help? And I said, sure. And he came back an hour later with Dan, and I'd met Dan the week before. So we said, yeah. And then I called Dan and Jared Monday, and I said, I just can't do this. And they were like, why? And I said, well, it wouldn't be fair to Mitch. Mitch had helped me with Podcast Dallas. And friendship means more than, well, now if I'd known how much money it was going to end up being worth, friendship might not have meant more. But I said, we need to bring in Mitch, or I can't do this. It just wouldn't be fair. And they agreed Mitch could come on board. And that was how the four starters or founders of Podcast Movement started.
So is Mitch still involved, or?
Mitch sold out his share too.
Okay.
So Mitch and I both sold out our shares completely. And I think Dan and Jared sold part of theirs. I'm not sure about their deal. So I don't want to speak about what they've done.
Yeah. I know you and Mitch more personally than I know Jared and Dan. So yeah. But I was just curious because this is the first I heard of it. I didn't know we've not talked about it in a while.
Yeah. So, and I think everybody's I think they're happy with where they're at. Mm-hmm. Mitch is certainly happy with where he's at. And I'm certainly happy with where I'm at. So, and hopefully, I can't think of the name of the company that bought it right off the head, but there used to be a morning, and maybe there still is a morning talk show in Dallas, Kid Craddock. The same company that owns the Kid Craddock radio show right now owns it.
Okay, cool.
I can't think of the name of the company, but that's one of the properties they own.
That is just cool that's where it went. So, well, you know what I mean? You've come through a lot of waves of different things in podcasting and then using podcasting to build your stores. Do you go out and do like keynote speaking and stuff too as well?
I do. I haven't done a lot of keynote. I've done more just speaking. I'd like to do more keynote speaking, but I just haven't seemed to be able to break into that area there. Mm-hmm. I've done a ton of speaking on podcasting and different functions of media. I've been out at, social media marketing world in San Diego. I've spoken out there twice. That's like the world's biggest social media conference. Yeah. And I've spoke at your conference. I've spoken at quite a few conferences, but I've not done keynote speaking. For some reason, I've had a hard time breaking into that, and that's fine. I mean, so
have I, to tell you the truth, but I still tell everybody I'm a keynote speaker.
Yeah. Well, I just tell people I'm a speaker, I don't even mention I'm a speaker. I think that probably hurts me because the thing is, I do so many things, that it's really hard for me to, it's kind of like, when someone comes up to me and they meet me for the first time and, hey, how are you? And I go, what do you do? And they go, I work at the bank. And they go, what do you do? I'm going, gosh, this would take 30 minutes to tell you what I did. So I just say I'm in e-commerce. Cool. So that's all I tell people is I'm in e-commerce, and they have no idea what I do in e-commerce, but it's just too hard to explain what I do.
So my wife just hit the print button. So the printer is going to go off behind me here in a minute.
That's part of life. That's what happens when you do a live show.
Having the two of us work at home is a different experience. So
yeah. Well,
luckily, don't worry about it.
Luckily, I still have my studio, so I just come up to my studio every day, and no one's here but me. So I come in here and work and just visit the softball and the wallpaper store. Well, thanks, Larry. Larry thought it was a great breakdown of the history of podcast movement.
I just recently connected with Larry on Joe Pardo's event. And I'm watching Larry speak and going, oh my gosh, he lives here in town. So it's like, it was so good to actually chat with him. And we're now connected on Facebook as well. So,
it's a small world. I ran into someone the other day. I can't think of what it was, but I was talking to someone about Bitcoin the other day. And it turned out he lived in Dallas. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew you lived in Dallas. So there's a lot of people here that have common interests with us.
Well, when it comes to Bitcoin, all right, and cryptocurrency, I've got Joel Comm going to be on this, I think Wednesday or Thursday this week. Joel's going to come on. And I know Joel's doing something in that line of work as well, too, in podcasting.
Yeah, Joel's does the Bad Crypto podcast. Yeah. And he started his show maybe a month before I started mine. Mm-hmm. So he was one of the first shows I actually probably listened to. I don't know if it was the first or not, but Joel and I, we've known each other a good while. He actually, I think last time I talked to him, I said, I'm getting sick of you. You do everything just before me. You started your e-commerce site, or your internet stuff, a few months before me. You started your podcast about Bitcoin a month before me. I said, you're doing everything just up. Oh my gosh. I know this is going to, I don't know if this is going to, oh no, I never mind. I thought I had something with me I don't have. I was going to show you, but Joel's a good guy. Him and I have some differences. He's a crypto guy and I'm a Bitcoin guy.
Yeah.
So I think everything besides Bitcoin is pretty much a POS. Mm-hmm. And he is into everything you can find. Mm-hmm. If it's new and it's out, but he does a lot more paid to play, which I'm not knocking.
Yeah.
I mean, he does real well at it. So I'm not knocking it at all. I just I started out doing that kind of stuff. And then I decided that I felt like Bitcoin was the only thing worth doing. So I moved all my crypto into Bitcoin. And that's really all I talk about anymore or do shows about anymore. Or as you know, my conference is a Bitcoin conference. It's not a crypto conference. It's Bitcoin specific. You're not even allowed to talk about crypto or you'll be asked to stop. And if you continue, you'll be asked to leave.
Oh, wow.
So it is strictly a Bitcoin conference. And that's what's really made my conference appeal to so many people is they don't want to hear about other coins. There are a lot of people who believe, like I do, that Bitcoin is the only coin needed. And they haven't had a conference. There aren't a lot of conferences that are Bitcoin only conferences.
Mm-hmm. So again, you've narrowed a niche of a niche.
Yeah, I did. Because crypto definitely is a niche right now. It's a bigger niche than people think, but it is a niche. And I went for part of the niche Bitcoin, and I've done real well. I don't think my conference would have done near as well. It may be bigger. But I don't think it would be as strong as it is if it was a crypto conference. If it's a crypto conference, for instance, sponsorships, oh my gosh, I could take sponsorships from anybody, where I can't, take sponsorships from anybody. If they have something that's more of a crypto than a Bitcoin, and they wanted to have a table or sponsorship, I have to tell them no, and I have to turn them down.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder to some degrees, but like I said, it makes it better in some degrees too. Because you stand out.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's kind of go through, because I know you've had several different turns when you got into crypto and Bitcoin. Can we talk about how the path is that you got to where you're at? Because you had a couple of shows with some other people here in Dallas?
Yeah, well, I started into crypto at Big D Design in Dallas. That conference, I was speaking at that conference, and I walked down the hallway, and Tony Sakala, a common friend of ours, and Mitch and AJ Woods, and several people were standing there talking to Tony as I was walking. I just finished talking, and I was walking down to the speaker's room, I think, or coming back from the speaker's room. And so I listened for about 5 minutes, and Tony was just talking about Bitcoin, and I caught the tail end of it. And so they all left when the conversation was over. They weren't that interested, obviously, but it appealed to me because he started talking about it as a protocol, an internet protocol. And so I said, tell me more about this. I'm kind of interested in that. And Tony and I sat down. And I think maybe I could be wrong, but it seems like we talked about Bitcoin over on a couch on the side for like 2 or 3 hours. And I had heard about Bitcoin before, but I had always been introduced to it as money, as a stock, as an online stock type things. Like Mark Hopkins, Mark, he's local, and he said, hey, I met him when Bitcoin was 100. I talked to him about it, and he said, oh, it's like an internet product. It's like a internet stock. And I said, yeah, I don't do too good really buying and selling stocks. I'm not really good at that. So I wasn't interested. But when Tony mentioned it was an internet protocol, just like email is or HTTPS or something like that, I was really interested. So I actually, when we left, we agreed I was going to come back the next day and talk some more. And on the way home, I started listening to podcasts about it. And on the way back the next day, I listened to podcasts about it. And then Tony and I talked about another 3 or 4 hours. And we decided to get together and do some stuff together. So we started the Crypto Cousins podcast. And then we were selling mining machines that we would build. Tony would really build them. I shouldn't say we. He was the driving force behind that. We would sell Bitcoin or crypto mining machines, which with the way crypto was doing back then, someone could buy one of those machines from us for $3,000, let's say, or I think they were $2,500 when we started, but graphic cards got more and more expensive. So the price of the machine started going up. But originally you could buy one of those machines and get a payback in like 6 months. And then from then on, you were just really just printing money for the most part.
Yeah.
Because you were just making crypto, and we were doing Zcash, and Zcash went up to $500. Well, now Zcash is like $50.
Yeah.
So it dropped with everything else. So that's how we started. We did the podcast, we did that. And then we got together and did the first BitBlock Boom together conference together. And we did okay on that, but not great on that, but we did okay. And then, time went by, and we decided that we're still good friends. I just talked to him Friday, as a matter of fact, on the way home. I was driving my car. So we're good friends, but we decided that we didn't want to do projects together anymore. And so we split up, and he basically got all the mining equipment and everything like that. And we split anything we'd made. And I got BitBlock Boom, which has turned out to last year was good. And this year, this is killing me right now with what's going on, because ticket sales were doing so good and sponsorships were going good. So at least I had it in the fall, not the spring, because everybody who had one in the spring canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have one scheduled for the fall right now, right? Your next one
into August. And here's what's going to happen: either one of two things. It's either going to cancel, because this is going to go on too long, or this is going to be one of the strongest conferences of the year, because no one else has been able to have one. And everybody's going to want to go to a conference because they haven't been to one all year. The sponsors haven't been able to sponsor anything all year. So I'm either going to there's not going to be in between grounds. It's not going to be okay. It's either going to be great or it won't happen. This was supposed to, I had told my wife, and she just reminded me last night that I had told her this year, up till next month would be the most traveling I'd ever done in my life for Bitcoin. Going to conferences, speaking at conferences. I think I had a conference I was going to be at every weekend in March, and one in April, and one in February, and two in May. And now, I've just been sitting at home, So it went from my busiest travel year probably in my life, not counting vacations we were going to squeeze in, to being the least traveling I've done in so long I can't remember.
Yeah, my first 3 months, same thing. I was so busy going places to speak, and now I'm sitting at home. And my conference, which is supposed to be May, is more than likely going to be canceled.
Yeah, postpone it.
Well, I have another one scheduled for November, so I'm probably going to cancel this one and just move it to November, and then take my hotel deposits and move it through to 2021. But that's when you go that far in advance, the hotel's conversation is going to be, we'll talk to you after this.
Right. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, this was the biggest thing I had signed up with my hotel for. So, I'm hoping that this doesn't get over August the 1st.
Yeah.
I got 30 days to sell it, and I go, hey, you could do it. It wasn't canceled, but by the city or the state of the virus, you just didn't have it. And I'm arguing with them. So,
Yeah, mine has been day by day. And you know what I mean? I'm emailed, because no one's at the office to talk to at the hotel. So it's email back and forth to get a conversation going. And literally, I'm tomorrow would be a month. And I'm like, you try to sell tickets when you don't know.
Yeah, I'm still selling a ticket or two here and there.
Yeah.
So people are still buying tickets, but I think I have enough credibility that they know that this isn't going to happen, that they're going to get a refund. I'm not sitting here going, oh my gosh, that didn't make, so you're all out of money because I can't afford to pay you. So
mine's going to be, mine's postponed because literally all my ticket sales went into paying all my hotel deposits.
Right. I understand that completely. Yeah. So I'm, like I said, I'm glad mine is the end. I saw a tweet the other day. Someone said, Gary Leland could look like the genius of the year having a Bitcoin conference in Texas in August. With as hot as it is, most people bitch when they come here. Especially they're like I got 6 people that bought a ticket the other day for the Netherlands. They're not going to be used to Texas heat in August.
Nope.
There's people from Canada. I have more people. It's weird. I have more people maybe from out of the U.S. that come to my conference than I do from Texas.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of weird to believe that I have such a worldwide interest, but I know I have more from outside of the U.S. than I do from Dallas for a fact, so it's weird to me. I have so much outside of the U.S. interest, and like a ton from New York and a ton from California, but so few people in Dallas that want to support or come to the conference. You know, there's just weird.
I have the same thing, Gary, and I've not figured out. That's why I've started now trying to get one speaker, because I have 2 featured keynotes at my event. Trying to get one speaker from Dallas, one not, because over 60-70% of my conference is people from out of Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing here.
The hotels love you, but
yeah, well, you know, in my case, I have to book a certain amount of hotel rooms.
Yeah,
according to the thing I got. So it's nice. I can easily make if it was the other way, I'd have a hard time filling up the hotel rooms, you know, as I do now. So that works out good. But yeah, it's a weird deal to me that, and it's people that I see that like, oh yeah, how's the conference going? And I'm like, always surprised they just never come, but they're really interested in and then I had one person one time say, well, gosh, you don't have any speakers from the Dallas area. Why should they come? I said, well, they should come because I don't have speakers from the Dallas area. Yeah. I'm bringing in speakers from all over the world. I mean, I have a speaker this year from Australia, you know, from Germany. I mean, these are people they can't see.
Yeah.
If I just got some people that they can go see every week at, you know, a meetup, why would they want to pay to go to that? I wouldn't pay to go to that. I go out to see you next week when you're free over at Joe's Bitcoin meetup.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just don't get it. But yeah, I don't get a lot of things. So.
But you know, it's you're innovative. All right. You've always been innovative when it comes to internet, when it comes to what you're doing, and it shows. So, I mean, your show now is called what's the current show called?
Well, I have several shows. I have the Crypto Cousins show that comes out every week. That comes out on Tuesday. But my main show right now is 4-Minute Crypto. And these shows I named before I was like a Bitcoin maximalist. So they have the words crypto in them. The titles would be different if I was to make the shows today. But 4-Minute Crypto comes out every day. It's one news story in 4 minutes or less about Bitcoin. So if you're into Bitcoin, you know, you can listen to something or watch it on YouTube or listen on Alexa, and it's short and sweet. And I had one guy who's a fan of the show. I saw him at a conference in Vegas, and he goes, wow, I kept coming home. My wife kept knowing this stuff about crypto. She'd say, hey, did you hear about that exchange that got the Bitcoin stolen? And he goes, yeah. And she'd tell me all about it. And then he goes, I couldn't figure out how she's knowing this stuff. And it turned out she started subscribing to your show. And she was listening to her show in the mornings on her Alexa while she cooked her breakfast. So every morning she was hearing a 4-minute news article from me. So he thought that was kind of funny that she was posing that she knew a lot about the subject from listening to my show. Yeah.
The crypto cousins, are you partnering with somebody on that again or no?
No, I'm doing like you are. I'm just bringing one person in, a different person every week. I record it as a video and throw it on YouTube and rip out the audio and make a podcast out of that. And I do the same thing on 4-Minute Crypto. Then I'm making the Bitcoin Podcasters Network right now, which I'm taking podcasts that are Bitcoin specific and building a network. So someone can subscribe to this one show and get a lot of podcasts that have been kind of like been checked and made sure about the topic they're wanting, so they're not hearing shows from scammers or that are not Bitcoin specific. So they've been kind of like not edited, but viewed and made sure these are podcasts that I believe in, and I believe in what they're talking about. So that'll go live in May. I think we're adding a couple of new shows this week. So I'm still building that.
So, Gary, all right, as I'm kind of winding down here, I want you to tell people where they can find you. All right. Where can they get connected with you to find all these podcasts and what you do?
Well, the easiest thing to do is follow me on Twitter, and it's Gary Leland. I mean, you can go to my website, but I do a terrible job of keeping up my website. I mean, it's okay, but, you know, I haven't even added on there that I'm executive vice president for Biz Talk Radio, their podcasting department yet. I mean, I don't do much. Yeah, I have myself a calendar reminder that comes to me every Tuesday at 12. Do a blog post, but I just still, even though I started doing that to help me, I still just click okay and go about what I'm doing at 12 o'clock when I get that, and I don't go do it. I just am not really that interested in my blog.
Now, Gwen and I actually started putting on the schedule, and we're going to try to start that this week, a daily walk. Because like we get so busy, we forgot to do things.
I do a daily walk with my wife. When I get home from work, we go for a walk, 2-mile walk with our dog every day. And we don't hardly skip it. I don't care if it's 30 degrees outside. She wants to go for a walk. She likes walking.
Yeah, and like the other thing I created now is I started doing a virtual happy hour every night. So it's like I had to schedule that to go out and do it. and I get online and use the tool here and just broadcast live and chat with people. Same thing. It's like, I just wanted to me, it's communicating as entrepreneurs.
How's that go? How's that working?
We get 3 to 4 people join on. It's not like it's, I'm not getting crowds, but it's like you said with the Bitcoin. It's like you get out there and do something and you try to work your way to build it into an audience. So
yeah, it's a matter of time. It's kind of like that hometown podcast Facebook group. Gosh, it took us forever to get that going, but now we're growing 1,000 people a week. You know, there's a thing about growing a group or an audience that it exponentially grows the amount of people you get. Mm-hmm. If you've got 100 people, maybe you're growing 2, 3, 5 a week, maybe. Mm-hmm. But if you've got 50,000 people, you're adding 1,000 a week.
Yeah.
So maybe percentage wise, it stays the same, but that number is so big that it's mind boggling sometimes, but it's probably percentage wise about the same. It's just a much bigger number.
Yeah. So Gary, as we wind down, I'd like to actually do this fun game at the end of every one of my podcasts that I'd like to ask my guests, a little game called This or That.
Okay.
You willing to play a game, Gary?
I'm willing to give it a try. We'll see how I do. Is there a prize if I win?
Hey, we all win because everybody finds out what you like about these things.
Okay.
So some of them, hey, if you don't know them, you don't know them. But some of them I think are going to be kind of related to you. Some of them can create wars. And some of them are just for fun. So let's start off with this one here that I like to ask in the beginning to everyone. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Star Trek? Okay, yeah. So that gives an alternate question. Picard or Kirk?
Picard.
Picard. And I get most people are Picard people when they're on the podcast. So next one I got is beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach. Okay. Do you guys got beach property or you just go?
Well, we have, we inherited, let's say, some beachfront timeshares. One in Hawaii, on Maui. We have one there. And then I grew up on an island in South Carolina.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like captain of the high school surf team. I mean, we surfed every day from the time I was 7th grade on. I mean, every day. I don't care. It was winter. We had full wetsuits. So, I grew up on a beach. I haven't been in the mountains but once or twice. I haven't ever seen. I went to Tahoe one time and saw real snow, and that's the only time I've ever seen real snow. So I would have to be a beach person. I can't ski. I can surf. I can water ski, but I can't snow ski. I just fall down standing there.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on here. Next one I've got is beer or wine?
A wine.
Wine.
I don't drink beer at all.
Okay. Red or white?
Red.
Okay.
Well, these are pretty easy questions.
They are. I told you they're not complicated. Just fun to find out about people. Hamburger or taco?
Hamburger.
Hamburger. Okay. And you live in Texas and you're going to admit hamburger.
Well, because I'm pretty much a carnivore now. All I eat's meat.
Yeah.
And so I can take off the buns and I can eat the hamburger. But the tacos, if you get rid of the shell and the lettuce and the tomatoes, you don't have much in there. And cheese, there's not much meat in there. So I would be real hungry after I ate a taco because I can't eat but about 10%, 20% of it.
Yeah. So I got one here kind of down your line of your business there. Gold or stocks right now?
Oh, well, I would have to go with, I really would have to go with gold if I was going to go with one too, if you can afford it right now. I mean, price of spot gold is impossible to buy right now if you can find it.
Yeah. It'd be the wiser, you think. Okay.
The thing right now, the meme right now going, is gold is the toilet paper for the rich.
So another one along the lines of what you've done in the past. All right. So here in Texas, if you had to go to a ball game, Texas Rangers or Frisco Rough Riders?
Texas Rangers for sure. I live in Arlington. That's 15 minutes away.
Well, yeah, you live closer. See, I live closer to Frisco, but I like the smaller, more intimate feeling of the Rough Riders.
We used to be given tickets for the Fort Worth Cats.
Yeah.
Which is, it's only 20 minutes away, but it was not near as good as going to the Rangers game to me.
Yeah, some people like, some people like the big MLB. I mean, it's like we have Mavericks tickets, but we don't have Texas Legend tickets. So, yeah. So this one here could create a war right now if you have it. Toilet paper under or over?
Over.
Over? Okay. And the last one is the classic I like to ask because some people just want to know. Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Okay.
Well, they're like the long ones that come down your legs, kind of, briefs. I don't know what those are. Those called boxer brief combos.
Boxer brief combos, yeah. So, but that's the question. So,
You know, the best toilet paper question that used to be asked was asked by Adam Curry.
Yeah.
You know, he was an old MTV VJ, and he would ask, scrunch or fold? He would ask
that one.
He would ask that almost everybody he ever interviewed. Do you scrunch or fold? You know, because people do one or the other. I mean, you know.
I like to put those interesting questions on there. It takes a little bit of personality towards the end. So tell everybody one more time, website and where they can get a hold of you.
GaryLeland.com. I got a lot of websites. I'm going to say GaryLeland.com is like my blog. But if you want to see my crypto stuff, go to CryptoPodcaster.com.
Okay.
That's pretty updated, but you can really find me on Twitter, Gary Leland, one word.
Okay.
You know, one night I got my first Twitter name probably like in 2005 or something, whenever they first came out. Mm-hmm. And I got all these weird names. I didn't understand Twitter. I got like podcast Twitter, sports Twitter. So I got all these weird ones. And then one night, probably, I was laying in bed, probably it was 2010. And I said, gosh, I don't have Gary Leland at Twitter. So I got up out of bed at like 3 a.m. and went to my computer to see if it was still available and got it. And I didn't use it for years. So, but I was so glad I did.
So mine on Twitter is real Tim Gillette because Tim Gillette was taken.
Yeah,
so,
see, you ran into the podcast, the situation I could have.
Yeah.
And I'd have been real upset because I can't tell my daughters, you know, you can get like Amanda. You can get like Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want that. We got Facebook. We don't want that. That's terrible. But, you know, they don't have Lauren or Amanda.
Yeah, I really, I'm like, I was trying to do something around Tim Gillette. I used my original Twitter was Rocker Life Coach, which I still own the domain name, but I don't have anything labeled as that anymore.
Right.
So,
you know, that's what I found's good about, to me, being someone who's 65 and I've been on the net a long time. To me, it's good to market yourself because if you're in this a long time, you're going to change what you're doing.
That's right.
And then all this stuff you built is not going to work for what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So if you market yourself as the brand, then when you move over in 10, 15 years and you get interested in something else, because that happens. No one's going to be interested in the same thing for 45 years.
Yeah.
But as you do it, you can take your audience with you, and maybe a lot of them will follow you to your new thing. Yeah, you'll lose some, but maybe 70% will follow you over.
That's one of the reasons why we finally labeled the podcast the Tim Gillette Show. Because
yeah, I understand completely. Like I said, I use Gary Leland on almost everything now.
Yeah. So, well, Gary, I want to thank you for coming on the show today, taking time out of your schedule and sharing some of your stories and stuff with my guests. And man, I appreciate you, buddy.
Well, Tim, I always enjoy it. And I was looking at your Facebook page. I like your header up here. What happened to that header of you and NXS or whatever? That was a good header.
I actually had the header there for the longest time of with Styx, the band Styx.
Styx. That's right.
Yeah. And I just pulled it down to try to put stuff up to get my website up and going again. And I have some other reasons why that will be revealed shortly.
Okay. That was a nice header. I thought you did a good job of
it. Was a great picture I have with Styx, and I still have it as part of my promotional stuff. So yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I enjoyed coming on. Thanks for you know me. I'm a whore when it comes to being interviewed. I don't think I've ever said no to anybody.
Yeah, I'll go on anybody's podcast.
You know, I always say, even if someone's, and I've been on shows where when it was over, I had to say, hey, guy, just calm down when you're talking to people. Mm-hmm. You sound like you're scared. No one's going to yell at you. I'm trying to calm him down. And it says, he goes, well, this was my second interview. I go, I knew that, So even if you go on someone's show like that, you never know when that person will become the next John Lee Dumas.
Yeah.
And millions of people will go listen to every episode they have, you know? So that's my thoughts on it. That's why I'm on everybody's show. Even if they're brand new, I go, I can find 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to come on their show.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and we'll be talking again soon. So right now we're just going to sign off here, guys. Tim Gillette Show, and I'll be back again with another episode real soon. See you guys.